We got 1 minute more. Yes, let's all rise. Today is April the 4th, 2014, here at Washington Family Church. Let's begin our Hoon Dok Hae by offering one standing bow to our beloved true parents. 하나님과 전부름에 저희들 옆에 흉배 below our most beloved heavenly parents. We pray that today will be another victorious day for our true parents of heaven and earth, our true mother here on earth, and true Father in heaven. We pray that all the activities of our true mother in Hawaii will be aired all over the world in our Kakao TV or the Peace TV. We pray for the unity of all the true children, that they will unite with our true mother, true grandchildren, and all the members all over the world, the first generation, the second generation, the third generation. We pray for all our world leaders in our unification movement. We pray for the UPF chairman, Dr. Cheong Seong Gyeong, and all the vice presidents, international vice presidents like Reverend Thomas Wang, or based in Seoul, Korea, that they will be successful and they will receive our reports to our national headquarters about our Sunday service activities and all our witnessing campaign. And we pray for the success also of our Archbishop Keenan Kim, who's always attending our true mother as the continental leader for North America and the Caribbean. And we saw also in Peace TV our president of the Unification Church here in the USA, Reverend Dr. Michael Balcom, and his wife. We pray for his family and his staff in New York, that they too will be victorious in whatever they do. And we pray as well for all the members who are attending all their national presidents all over the world, that they too will not only prosper but also have success in whatever activities that they do. We pray as well for all the districts and regions, that they too will be successful, especially here in District 1. We pray for our leader, Reverend Ernest and Keiko Patton, and we pray for all the center leaders and pastors of our centers and churches. We pray that they can always be successful and place the FFWPU flag in front of our centers and churches. We pray that we can really also keep our unification sealed, and we pray that we fly the FFWPU flag also outside our centers. And we pray for our pastors in Norfolk, Virginia. We pray for Reverend Akira Ota, and in Richmond, Virginia, we pray for Father Adrian Bayo, and we pray for Reverend James Stewart and his wife, Adikili, in Tolson, Maryland. We pray for their success. We pray that in the Beltway area, we pray for Miss June, for Northern Virginia, that they too will be successful. And we pray for the Maryland area, the Reverend Maryland Stevens and his wife, and all the co-pastors like Ms. Jones, that they too will even surpass their goals. And we pray for our Washington Family Church, with our own pastor, Reverend Gregory James Oliver, and his wife, Fumisan, and Dora Brianna. We pray for success and victory. We pray that as we support even the insurance of all the establishments in Upshur House in Northern Virginia, in New Hope, we pray that they too would support us in many ways here in our activities on the weekends, in our pamphlets and many things. And we pray for the success of everyone here who's working so hard, especially our council and many members from Virginia who are supporting our witnessing campaign. We pray for the unity, the success, and the good health of all the members here in America and all over the world. And we pray all of this in all our names and in my name. Athanasius Francis, C. Catalan, blessed Randall family. Aju, aju, aju. Good morning. You want to read some passages? Yes. We're still reading the way of unification in God's providence, and we are now on page 438. Let us see.
Let us see.
Yes.
Good morning. Our attitude to participate in the third mobilization. Facing the mobilization, you must not have any selfish mind. Your family and workplace should not be an obstacle for you to go to the front line. You must march forward for the sake of the nation, for the sake of restoration of the unified nation. If we can find and establish the unified nation, the homeland, the unification of the democratic world and the communist world, and the unification of the East and the West will take place. 1998/17. Looking at the reality of Korea, although we all desire Korea to be a good country, the real position of Korea is not good. All of you must be anxious about now, right? If the reality of the nation is not good, can a society which exists within the sphere of the nation be good, or can it be bad? There are more bad things in society, aren't there? Therefore, don't hang on to the evil thing, but stay with the good thing. If the society is bad, how about the religious organizations? Both organizations and companies are under the attack of evil influence. Throughout the history of Korea, have women represented the nation and said, "Follow and learn from us. Korea will die unless she goes in this way." We must build Korea as a nation which has great hope in the future. Have women ever stood in front of society with such a sincere heart? Having said this, you will understand that women of the Unification Church are superior. That's why you must be grateful. Since you met Father, you have been given opportunity to do such great work under God's will. You must go out and love Cain's sons and daughters more than you love your own sons and daughters. Have you understood this or not? Without doing so, you cannot change them. You must go through such a path and love them to the point that they will say, "Please, love your own sons and daughters instead of us," because they are people whom we want to attend. Do you understand? You must not be anxious about your beloved ones, your sons and daughters. Once you left the way of God's will, forget all completely. But it's your husband or your children. Think that the only place you can be is in Cain's world. You must love sons and daughters of Cain's world and set the standard of the Cain-Abel restoration for indemnity in front of your sons and daughters. Therefore, you must restore their parents. By doing so, your husband can stand next to you, and you can take your sons and daughters and lead them along with the families and children on Cain's side to the heavenly kingdom. You can accomplish the restoration of Canaan. You women, do you understand? The women replied, "Yes." Can you say these things when you go to the local regions? When someone says, "Why do we do such things? Why does Reverend Moon ask families to split, arrange and send women all over the country? Why does he ask us to do such things? How will you answer? You must reply the way I just did. You must explain to them about the fall of man and tell them that now is the final time for restoration. Those women who will go out this time will become, without question, the leaders in their homes, in their towns. If you live in Seoul, you will surely become an influential figure in the region. Leadership roles will be occupied by all of you. Father knows that you now are carrying a signboard on your back which reads that you must do all the education in that region, including that of children. Don't you like it? We like it. The people responded. That's good. This is good, yeah. One person shows and guides the way to go for all people, for all those who are suffering in chaos and confusion. They are liberated and so happy. God is joyful in heart by seeing all these scenes. This should be the attitude and heart which God's sons and daughters must have. What do you think? Is that not right? That is right. In this sense, sweat when you work. Work hard for business. Do extra work at night. And whatever you do, do with decisive commitments. Those who try to die will live, and those who try to live will die. At this point, we depart with absolute commitment without thinking about our own life and death. From now on, if you go to your assigned area and have the fact of being a member of the Unification Church, you will not prosper. If you lie, there will be consequences. Heaven will punish you. Heaven cannot spite Satan while leaving you unpunished. Therefore, be courageous in your assigned place. 1988, looks like it's January the 2nd. How high do you think is the authority of the members of the Unification Church? Do you know? While you are walking through the streets, you must reign there as a queen. When you go out into the streets, all women there must learn from you. You must live with dignity and authority so that you can straighten them and correct the bottom of their skirts. Don't become a woman who goes around the street seeking smelly stuff. Observe the right norms and the norms of the heavenly principles. Be and live with dignity so that all existence in the cosmos will praise you and say they must follow you. You must live in that position. Do you understand? We are now standing on the front line. You women in particular must meet the expectations of heaven and the true parents, centering on God's love, which is the ideal of creation, the center of the house of unification. You are standing in the frontal position, centering on God's will, in which you overview the realm of God's love. Don't lose the dignity which meets all the expectations. Don't become a shameful person in front of your responsibility for the mission, which God is watching with expectation, and the whole of existence is desiring vertically and horizontally. You must become a person who can fulfill this responsibility without any regret and shame in front of your mission. We are now on page 440. Number your properties in order from the best on down. Sell the best things first and use the money for the sake of the nation. Devote yourself for the sake of your nation. When you shed sweat and tears and do your activities with the commitment of making yourself the offering, you may use money. You are free from satanic accusation. Therefore, you must offer heavenly material things, heavenly sons and daughters, and husbands and wives. When you offer all, they are connected to the realm of heart. Unless you establish a foundation of having offered the entire family in front of heaven, the resurrected family, the family which is connected with heavenly love, cannot emerge. Letter D, husband's responsibility after the mobilization of wives. Oh, okay. So D, you want to say? Yeah.
Thank you, Nita.
Sure.
So Nita is leaving ahead. We read some of it yesterday. So letter D, husband's responsibility after the mobilization of wives. Kim Il-sung is the archangel. He is the representative of all fallen angels, because he is the representative of Satan and fallen angels. Women of Korea must conquer him. This is for the purpose of the unification of North. What are men now? They are archangels on God's side. Father chased out families this time. While wives go out and work, their husbands must give up their wives and sons more than the wives have sacrificed, and must work much harder for the sake of God's will. If you are a husband of a wife who has left her children and husband for the hard work of the will, you must also work that much harder. You men who can complain, when we work for God's will in this way, heaven will come to sympathize for us. Men also should be prepared. Instead of their wives, men must make the necessary monies and send them to their wives, no matter what. When the decision was made for the mobilization of the women of the blessed families of the Unification Church, men should not complain about it. Men should keep their mouth shut and go behind women to support them. I cannot organize you, so I rather let you work like servants. who make money and offer the dues. Now, let's make a conclusion. Do you do it or do you not? The answer was, we do. Do you go or do you not go? We go. With some regret or with no regrets? With no regrets. How do you have to go? The answer was, without looking back. You should go without looking back. You must be that way. God will be happy about it. When you receive the direction and go out, go without any regret. Don't look back. You can look straight in your husband's eyes and say, please take care of yourself. You can look 100 times, look thousands of times before you turn and leave. Then, once you turn, run and go. We're now on page 441. When a wife returns home after restoring the nation, her husband must prepare a banquet and welcome her like a queen. The husband must greet her with comforting words. He must welcome her together with the children, and they must bow to the mother. Such a warm welcome must be given. When she returns, her husband must warmly welcome her. The husband can play this role only when he does so. Isn't that so? Only when the husband welcomes her in such respectful manner can he resume the role of a husband on the higher level. If you do very well and come back from the mountains and rivers of your homeland, I won't give you a talk on not witnessing ever again. We're still on page 441. Letter E. This is the last mobilization. This is the last mobilization. I will not mobilize from now on, even if someone tells me to do so. At the time of Moses, 600,000 people were suffering in the wilderness. When at least 60 million tribal people representing the world become liberated from the wilderness and establish the heavenly kingdom, that is, when they establish one foundation on earth in accordance with the heavenly way, the desire of heaven, which will not change for billions of years, will be developed. Now, therefore, I say that this is the final work, the final one. We have served and made an effort to change the hostile environment to a friendly one. We have influence on the individual level, the family level. When is this mobilization of families? We have done so before as individuals, but how many times is this mobilization on the family level? This is the second time. The answer was the third time. Why do you say it's the third time? We did for 3 years in 1970s. What's the next? Have we done anything? 1981? That was not for 3 years. How many months? 7 months. That was 7 months, right? Therefore, this is the official second mobilization on the family level. This is the second time. This is the last mobilization. Okay, now it's already 5:29. We have a new topic on page 442. Section 5, a group of 7,000 people and the mission of Korean members. Reverend Oliver, should I continue, or should I read part of it, or we just stop here? Hello? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Just a little bit more.
Yes, okay. On page 442, number 1, a group of 7,000 who must be indemnified. Number 1, a group of 7,000 who do not surrender to Baal. At the time of the work of Elijah of the Old Testament age, there were 10 tribes in the northern nation of Israel and 2 tribes in the southern nation of Judah. They were divided into north and south. Elijah fought in order to unite them. Elijah fought alone in order to testify to the living God against nearly 850 prophets who exalted a wooden statue of Asherah, or the god Baal. They erected an offering table in order to test the truth or falsity of God Baal. They offered oxen and prayed for the offering to be burned by the fire of God. Elijah and these priests competed with each other. However, the false god could not appear. The prophets of Baal and the wooden statue of Asherah were kept awaiting the god's fire, but it never came to burn the oxen. But when Elijah prayed, the fire struck and burned not only the offering, but also the entire altar. When Elijah had the 850 false prophets slain, since this happened, everybody was supposed to surrender to Elijah. But in reality, Satan rebelled against him. Satan tried to catch and kill Elijah. Then Elijah ran to the desert and sat under a tree. He prayed and asked God to take his life. Now I am the only one who remains. On the one hand, Elijah despaired, but on the other hand, there remained a group of 7,000 people who had not surrendered to Baal. Judah had to reestablish the unified realm of the north and south by supporting the group of 7,000. At the time, the realm for the Messiah was not established on the national level. Prior to the coming of the Messiah, Elijah had to establish the one realm of Israel, which had been vertically divided. On the horizontal level, Judah and Israel and Rome related in each case horizontally as Abel and Cain. Judah is Abel and Israel is Cain. When they are united, they form the realm of Abel. The realm of Abel, Israel must triumph over Rome, which is the realm of Cain. They had to set the vertical standard first and had to govern Rome, thus setting the horizontal standard. Number 2, Jesus and the group of 7,000. Israel and Judah, which has been divided, had to be united. Israel was a Cain realm and Judaism was the Abel realm. Elijah killed all 850 prophets of Baal in order to unite the Israelites under God's will, centering on the nation of Judah. However, the Israelites tried to kill Elijah. God is alive. He is a living God. The Israelites who had returned to this living God were supposed to support and protect Elijah. However, to the contrary, they tried to kill him. Therefore, when Elijah ran away to spare his life, while he was asleep under the tree, God gave bread and water and have him along the way. Elijah entered into a cave in Mount Horeb and said at the last moment, "There is no one remaining but me, but take my life away and let me ascend." God replied that there are still a group of 7,000 people who had not surrendered to Baal. Even if the Israelites in general opposed him and all 12 tribes opposed him, if Elijah could unite those 7,000 prepared people, he could establish the indemnity condition for the coming of the Messiah. Therefore, if there was a unified group of 7,000, there was a way to open the path again, the path to consummate the situation in which God could emerge. The one who later in Elijah's stead was John the Baptist. John the Baptist therefore saved a group of 7,000 among the Israelites. If a new sect which followed Jesus was formed and become able, they had to find a group of 7,000 from the nation of Israel and Judaism. The entire nation had to be saved, centering on the new way of baptism. However, Judaism and the neighboring country opposed it. If John the Baptist, who had gathered 7,000 people, offered them to Jesus and completely united with him, Jesus did not have to die. If they have united with Jesus, the right and the left would have been united. There, 12 tribes, 72 disciples would have been formed. In our terms, if they had formed 36 couples, 72 couples, 120 couples, and then 7,000 couples, Jesus would not have died. They would have not perished. Because this was not accomplished, Jesus stood in the position to be taken by Satan. When Jesus was crucified, there came to exist two thieves, one on the left and one on the right. The lack of foundation became the condition for the division of the right and left. Because God did not have a group of 7,000 people, the division of the left and the right emerged. So that's the end of our Hoon Dok Hae. On page 443, we went back a little bit on our reading today. We read some part from yesterday on page 438, our attitude to participate in the third mobilization. So is there anybody who wants to share about our reading today? And tomorrow we'll be with...
Francis,
Yes, Randy.
This is Randy. Hello?
Yes, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. That last part that we read was a very significant happening that occurred when Father was in Danbury. While Father was in Danbury, he was, as we know, that was Father's or the government's attempted crucifixion of Father. But Father gathered 7,000 ministers at that time. That was part of that mobilization to Korea. And also, at that time, the Indian, mainly incident was touring around the country and gathering ministers to rally support for Father, on a tax case. And so, just as when Elijah was in the cave and had that experience with God, God said that he had 7,000 people prepared, and that Elijah had to find them. And Father restored that. And of course, Father explained a little bit more about John the Baptist and Elijah. I wasn't completely clear on that until you read that just now. It was one of those epiphany moments. But I remember the great mass movement of ministers to Korea at that time, and how after that the public opinion changed on in regards to Father and our church. So just I was remembering that when you were reading that, and how significant it was. And also one more point, I would say that a little bit more deeply, that it's kind of a lesson for all of us, that even if we feel that we can't go on, or things don't look so good or whatever, but there's still, God has already prepared something out there to enable us to complete the mission or complete whatever task it is that we're trying to accomplish at that time. That even today, it's the same thing. God has prepared something or someone out there for our path, and we can bring unity with that person. Will accomplish whatever purpose God needs to be accomplished at this time. So that inspired me. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Randy. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to say that was an excellent correlation with that 7,000, Randy. And I just wanted to add on to that. That's really profound. That also that 7,000 rallied in front of the White House.
Oh,
well.
Yeah.
And also, because I was there, and also Father had chose Injun at that time. Father saw something in her. But I distinctly remember she wasn't as refined speaker then. She was very strong, rallying speaker. However, somehow Father chose her and asked her to do that. But that was profound about the 7,000. And not only did they go to Korea, but they did come to. They did a
Washington D.C.
Protest in front of the White House. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Oliver. So it includes Reverend Jerry Falwell and others.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Diane.
A question. Who was the woman to whom Reverend Oliver just referred, who went to Korea with Father and also demonstrated outside of the White House?
I think Reverend Oliver was mentioning Injinim, who was called at the time to rally all the ministers and pastors all over the United States. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah.
Injinim.
Yes. So, is there anybody else? Okay, if there's none, let's all rise and have unison prayer. Our most beloved Heavenly Parents, we're so grateful, we're so thankful for showing us that even thousands of years ago, God has already proven himself by burning not only the offering, but even the altar, to show to the world, and show to the Baal priests that their God is a false God. And we pray that we can also hear from the present day John the Baptist, from Elijah's time to John the Baptist's time. There was an opportunity, and now with the Lord of the second coming, it came to pass that there are many John the Baptists. We pray that they will still continue to really rally with us. The ACLC, the American Clergy and Leadership Conference, we pray that they'll be ready to really mobilize also, to unite the North and South Korea. We pray that their congregation would also come with them as we unite with the present Messiah, the true parents of heaven and earth. We pray the true mother will be elated and will be supported by all of these, not only 7,000, but many as 10 or 1,000 times more number of ministers. The Asian Clergy Leadership Conference too, and all over the world. They can go and rally in front of the Third Day Parliament and break it down, just like the Berlin Wall. We pray that this will happen, and we pray that God will hear our cries and really send all the good angels, the heavenly generals, to really go with all our brothers and sisters in Korea and really topple this Third Day Parliament so that North and South can unite, especially now that their families are meeting each other, who have missed each other for more than 50 years. We pray that they can reunite their loved ones, even the ones who were married and they were separated by the Third Day Parliament. We pray that there will be outpouring of support, and we pray for the success of Vision 2020 to unite North and South. And we pray all of this in all our names and in my name, Athanasius Francis, C. Catalan, Blessed Central Family. Aju, Aju, Aju. Uri esonen tong il Numero sonen tong il Imo Sombachor sotong il Tong il io ora ipiore saliren tong il inara chadde tong il io so Tong il io ora. Good morning to you, our beloved true parents of heaven and earth and humankind. Good morning to true children, true grandchildren, and all our true brothers and sisters here in America and all over the world. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Have a nice, warm, Friday.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Diane. Thank you for listening, and we have a playback coming. And have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, you also.
Yes.